What's up? Welcome back to Ringworm and all that. It's about 14 degrees right now, or at least it was an hour and a half ago when I got up to get my coffee, and I slept unbelievably well. Usually if it's below about 20 degrees, I throw a hand warmer in the bottom of my sleeping bag, and the one I grabbed out of my bag happened to be one of the really big ones. So holy cow, I was toasty all night long, just having that flame at your feet. Plus my sleeping bag's not wet in the foot this morning just because all that heat coming out of it. The last few days it's been snowing a bit, and I was soaked through with sweat and snow melt and everything. I think that really does drain it out of you after a whole day standing out here and moving around and working. I just so happened to have a couple family members drop by yesterday unexpectedly, and they brought me an entire apple pie, which makes me exceedingly happy. All right, let's get some pie and scrambled eggs and then get back to working on this cabin. Crap, my salad's froze. That's one that's hard to bring back from the brink or from death. To get a hot water bottle in these coolers. That's an icy one itself. So fascinating the way it freezes. Every time it's different. Those good old H2Os, they like to hook together in funny ways. Look at that, my eggs froze already. Yeah, look at that. That didn't take long. Oh, baby. Oh, best breakfast in the world right there. Man, I think my whole life, without knowing it, I eat a plate of food, and whatever food I like the best is the last bite I take. This is one of the few meals that I get down to the end and I can't decide which one to eat last. Apple pie or scrambled eggs with horseradish cheddar dip in it and a bunch of hot sauce on top. It's a hard decision. I mean, I could have got stuck here all day. I was just thinking one other thing that'll be nice about having this little cabin here is to be able to keep my coolers in there and my water jugs. Uh-oh, am I burning my sleeve? It smells like it. Oops. So I do this when it's really cold. I have to do this every couple days. Just usually have 5 or 6 gallons of water in that giant cooler. I take a couple of them out, get them boiling, dump them back in the jug, throw them back in the cooler, and that keeps all the rest of the water from freezing. If I could just keep the water above 32 degrees in the cabin, which would be, I only use the heat in there, you know, for an hour or two in the morning, hour or two in the evening, that'd be enough, I think, to keep it, especially if I kept them up. Maybe, I'm thinking when I put the roof on this, I might put a couple of, what do you call those, on a truss? Tie beam or something like that goes across. I was thinking of not doing those, again, just to save lumber, which is the same reason I'm building a lot of this the way I am, just to save on boards. I think I've already saved 16 2x4s by leaving stuff out that I thought I could skimp on. But that can be extra weeks of work out here, especially, you know, in the winter and when I want to use this right now. So that's what I was thinking, not putting those tie beams or whatever they're called in there. But I was thinking it does help if you have some of them in there. Keeps the roof from doing this, like the bottoms from kicking out. So maybe I'll just put 1 or 2 in there, and then I can throw a little platform on there, and that'd be a great place to store water. Because even if the heat was turned off during the day, the last thing to cool down would be up by the roof. I have to see if I got any 2x4s left at the end. Maybe I'll do that. Oh. Don't want our pie to freeze now. Gonna put these together temporarily because I think I'm probably gonna have to trim them off later. See the water shoot out of there when I screw it in? That's not good. Did some very rough estimating in my tent this morning before I got up. As I can figure it, there are a few different ways to figure out where the rafters go, like how long they should be, where the cuts are. It's called a bird's mouth cut, I think, on the bottom, where they sit over that plate. So you can either do it mathematically, figure out the triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, get that length, or you could do this, put the ridge up there, lay the boards up, or just measure it from there and get both sides the same. Or the way I like to do it a lot of times, if I don't have a pencil or don't have any place to do the figuring, is just to lay this all out on the floor, like draw it out on the floor. It's this, you know, this wall is this long and this, I want it this long and it's this pitch or whatever. Draw it out, then you could just measure right on the floor and set everything up right on the floor. I would probably choose to do it that way, except that it keeps snowing over all my marks and I'd really have to mark up the floor a lot, like really dark to see it, and I'm never going to get that off. Maybe that doesn't make any difference, but I'd, for all of time, have the layout stenciled on the floor here. So I just did the math real quick. We'll see if it works. I might do both, lay it out roughly on the floor and check the math just to make sure, because if I, you know, start cutting these rafters up and they're not right, that would make me very angry. You don't want to see me angry. It is not a pretty thing. Yeah, if I had to recut, if I had to go take down multiple more trees just because I screwed up the cuts, that would suck. Normally I don't care. I just, you know, I cut first, cut 2-3 times and then measure. But in this case, I don't want to waste the lumber, so I'm gonna go ahead and set it up here, measure, and see if it jives with what I figured in my skull. Pretty straight enough. One thing's for sure, this is going to be a lot easier to get this up here than doing that gazebo. Remember how big the ridge was on that? It was like a 2x16 or something. That sucker was massive. Look at that. Look how strong I am. I just lift it right up there. I think I'll just put a screw in either side of these for now so it doesn't land on my head. I lined that end up on my mark, screwed this end in, forgot to check for my mark, and it is dead on it. Sometimes accidents work out in your favor. Trigonometric, whatever the word is, it should be 70 3/4. Wow, 70 3/4. Some of those old-timey dudes really did have a way with numbers, didn't they? Is what does it look like going the other way? 71. That's close enough for me. We can make that work with a little adjusting. Good thing is, get to cut the rafters now. Bad thing is, I'm gonna run out of lumber and then have to go tromping through the woods and find something else to mill up. That's what I get. That's what I get for not buying anything. But you guys know how it is. If you want to buy something, you got to go to work to make the money to buy the things. So is it better to leave here, go to work, make the money, buy the 2x4s, come back, put it up? Or is it better to just do the work here, cutting down trees, burning brush and stuff? I think I'd rather not go to work. I've never been a big fan of cubicles. Might as well do this on the picnic table instead of trying to weasel it between all the studs over there. Well, I figured with the lumber I have and scraps that I have, I can do up to an 8/12 pitch. I think a 7/12 is about as much as you'd want to walk on, as much as I want to walk on, so I'm just going to do this 7/12. So there's my 7 inches. There's my 12 inches. My cold batteries are not happy this morning. A squared, B squared, C squared says 70 3/4. There. This is the happiest day of my life. You know what I just found? Unbelievable. I mean, I'd say it's good luck. It's really just poor memory. When I framed the floor of this thing with 2x6s, I had a bunch of stuff left over. And I just went and peeked under this here tarp. Look at all this leftover stuff. Holy cow. I think these were not quite big enough to get another 2x6 out of, so I just threw them aside. But that's big enough for a 2x4. Oh, there's tons of good stuff in here. Haha. No more milling in the snow. Well, I don't know. I still might have to. I don't know how much I can get out of that, but I'm gonna make finish these rafters here, and then pull all that junk out of there and see what I can get out of it. That is an amazing find. Those are over 10 feet long too. Oh, that's just great. You know, it's just great. Got the bird's mouth marked here. Hopefully that's in the right spot. And these tails on the stuff I've been building out here. So this is, if I can orient the camera right, that's about the angle of the rafter. So normally what I've been doing is cutting this at a right angle like this, because I don't use drip edge, because you have to buy drip edge, and I'm a cheapskate. I would normally cut it like this. That way, if you can imagine the orientation of the camera, this is going to be not straight down, but this is going to be at an angle, so that when the water runs off, it doesn't come straight down. Like the fascia that goes on here doesn't come straight down, it goes like this. That way, leave the shingles hanging off a tiny bit off the edge of the roof, and then the water goes straight down. However, I just happened to find a load of drip edge at the Restore, the secondhand store. So I think I'm gonna make the ends 7/12. So I think it looks kind of nicer, like on the edge of the roof. Your roof comes down, and then it's vertical on the edge. Anyway, you guys don't care. Just fast forward past that last part. I guess it's too late. Sorry about that. And eke that battery out as far as it'll go. Run it down to 0. It's a good stretch. It feels great. Think it's gonna fit? I'll make you a promise. If it doesn't fit, I'll leave it in the video. You can see my ranting and raving. And if it does fit, this will be a huge win for mathematics as a whole. Nope, it doesn't. It's off by at least 1.5 inches. All right, measured something wrong. Haha, turns out I was right, and I was right and I was wrong. It actually fits perfectly. Gorgeous little cut there. The angle's right there. I was holding it like this, and everything looked all wrong, but what happened is that in my calculations, I called this 2x6, and this is actually 2x8. So the only thing that has to change is pull this board out and put one in that's 2 inches longer, and then it'll be right on, and I'll be a genius again. That's gonna feel good. I actually like to think that's why I just put 2 screws in there, and I said I was gonna have to take it back apart. All right, I got it on there. Let's see what it looks like. It's dead on. I was just thinking while I fix this thing, it's too bad that building is not something that people can be creative with without a lot of college education. You know, if you're an architect, then you get to be creative with the rules that are there. But if you're just like a dude like me that likes to make stuff, take stuff apart, see what's inside, but just like, it's fun just to make something. And you know, out here, of course, this is what I make. This is what keeps me entertained, because I've got chainsaws, I got a chainsaw mill, and I got nothing but time. But it's too bad. I think we should start a movement. You know, let's all go out and just build a shed however the hell we want to. Don't look up the tables, don't worry about the rules. Maybe take your square, your framing square, and heat it up and bend it just a little bit. I mean, I totally get the need for the rules if you're building something that needs to be safe, or if you're going to sell to somebody else. But like this, I guess either, let's say I sell this place in a year. I'm not saying I'm going to, but if I sold this place in a year and this had already tipped over and went up in flames, I wouldn't have to tell anybody, I wouldn't have to warn anybody about it. But if in 20, 30, 40 years I sell this place and this thing's still standing, do you think I still need to disclose to the people that buy that, hey, just so you know, that shed over there, I skipped framing the corners like you would in a house. I skipped putting bottom plates on all the walls. Do you think I should disclose that? I'm just not sure what the downside is to doing it this way. I'm sure there are a lot of opinions out there the reason you don't do this, but I mean, the key is to not have a camera pointed at you when you do this. You should go out in your backyard, just build something, build it however you want to and see how it comes out. It might not be straight, but it's really fun. It's fun just to say like, oh, I wonder how I would do that. Let's for once not look it up online. Let's not use the internet. Let's not look at YouTube and just see if you can figure it out. I think there's something really satisfying to that. And like I said, if you don't point a camera at yourself, then the greater world doesn't know. I mean, somebody might say, hey, he's got a new shed in the backyard. But they don't know that you did it freestyle. You did it however you wanted to in the moment. Anyway, when you're doing this stuff by yourself, and there's no one for miles, you think about a lot of weird things while you're while you're cutting and nailing and whatnot. Probably most people disagree, but there's my nickel. All right. I need a sandwich or something. Then we'll cut the rest of these rafters and start nailing them up there. It's funny, I see this like when you're a little kid and you go out into the woods and you pick up a bunch of sticks and lean them against a down tree or whatever and make yourself a fort. And then you get a little older and you learn how to use a hammer and you get a handful of nails and then you can do things a little differently. And then you get older and you can use a power saw or a chainsaw. And then some point in there's like, snap, now you got to play by the rules. I don't like that. I want to keep doing it the way kids do it, but with 18-volt tools and two-stroke engines. No! Come on, you can make it. Oh, you can't make it. They work so much better when they're charged up, you know? Ever notice that? Okay, you know, I could just use a clamp, I guess. Alright, last two I got, and then we'll dig through that pile and see what kind of goodies I left there. Alright, let's see what we got under here. That is froze. Look at all this good stuff. It's like winning the redneck lottery. Holy cow. Alright. Alright, that's 8. No, that's 10. We need 10. And I still have several whole boards left that are like 18 inches, so we'll build something else when we're done. It's getting too dark to film. In a sec, I'm gonna sketch the rest of these out. Maybe cut them tomorrow. It's not far off. Pretty soon the day's gonna be getting longer. Ah, nuts. I meant to stop early tonight, take a shower, use one of my emergency showers. It's about time, I think. Baby wipes only go so far, especially in the winter. Gotta take the baby wipes out and like the package of them and set them in front of the heater for 20-30 minutes to turn them from an ice block into something usable. Oh man, it's too bad. And that's interesting science, if you remember back in the day, back in high school, about phase changes. I always think about that when I melt ice. So the ice can be at like say 20 degrees and you want to go to 100 degrees. If it was 32 degrees, if it was water, it would take like 15 to 20 minutes. Since it's ice and it has to change from solid to a liquid, it takes about an hour to go from like 15, 17 up to 100. So I should have started this a while ago, and unfortunately tomorrow night and the next couple nights are supposed to be really windy and really cold and probably snowy, which are not great times to have a shower, especially after this thing caved in and I gotta take the tarp off there. I don't want to stand out in the snow and take a shower too badly. Crap, what do? Go for it? I think I'm gonna go for it. It's always worth it when you're done. Nice dry towel. Still got the burner here and everything. Look at that. Luckily, it feels like there's still a shower in there. Of course, can't get the lid off, but I think that's filled most of the way up. Not quite as nice and gourmet as it was before when I had a lid on it, but it's only like the last week or two that I can even do this. It'll take extra long to get that up to temperature with wind. Oh well, go put the tools away, take a shower, go to the deer castle, draw my stuff out, start all over. See you tomorrow. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a chilly shower, but chilly showers make for good sleeping. Slept friggin' great last night, and then I wake up to apple pie. All right, finish cutting these rafters up and then get the roof on there, but then what? Apple pie. Well, it'll help me figure it out. Oh yeah. Yep. Crapola. Looks like we got an impromptu snowstorm. Just checked the radar and gonna get hammered the rest of the day. This is supposed to be clear and warm. I'm gonna put on a couple more of these and then step inside the tent, step inside my office so as not to get soaked. Hopefully I can get back to this later on today. It's a good thing I got that nice big tent. That thing's great. Oh, I swear they need to make a drill that's shaped like a hammer, you know? Then I wouldn't set it down all the time. Can't seem to decide what it wants to do. I don't mind a little snow like this, but if it's dumping, I get soaked. It takes me so long to dry all my stuff out here. Tito's here, he's hiding in his car until we find out what the weather's gonna do. I think it's gonna be like this for the rest of the day, just a light snow. Just enough to get the cold right into your bones. All right, I spent 30 minutes in the tent, ate a really old roast beef sandwich, and that's all I could do. It's so on and off, and I don't think we're gonna get more than an inch or something, but you know, always just trying to stay as dry as possible. Let's have a look at these logs here. Oh yeah, one other thing to mention here. Now, I don't know if I should say this out loud and make it public, but there's a chance I might build something else after this. It's just some thoughts I got rolling around in my head, and I might actually make it pretty nice. So part of this is going to be a test. Since we have 4 walls, I'm going to do 4 different kinds of siding, and I think it'll look kind of cool. It'll look pretty weird. I think I'm going to do the front like I did the front and back of the deer castle. So that'll be all the cut-offs from the logs. That should be like the first cut off the top that still has the raw edge on it, and then the last cut. So I'm going to do them across, and that'll look kind of cool. It's kind of like log cabin-y looking. And then one side, I'm going to do like the sides of the deer castle, just boards, 1-inch cedar boards that go this way. When you make your own lumber, you don't really want to spend a lot of extra time and energy and tree cutting just to make something fancy, or at least I don't. But I consider doing some board and batten on this. So the boards go like this, be just flat to the wall, and then in the gaps between the boards you put another thinner board on it that covers up that gap. So as the board dries out and squeezes together, the gap that would be behind it is closed, is covered by another board. And the downside of that is that, as you can see, all the studs are vertical. So in order to put vertical boards on it, you got to put nailers in between each stud back and forth. Probably have to put 1, 2, like 3 lines of them there back and forth. So that's essentially like framing this wall twice. That's another, 4, 5, 6 2x4s cut up into pieces. And then you put the boards on vertically, and then the battens you also have to cut, which they can be made out of scraps, but still it's a lot of extra wood. So that would be cool. I was talking to Tito about this a while back, and we thought, well, what do we do for the 4th wall? Let's do something really weird. So I'm gonna try a board and batten. I don't think I've ever seen it like this. I don't think it's a thing, but it seems like it'd be fun to make. So what if you did board and batten? So if you go this way, then you have to have all the nailers through there. What if we did it at a diagonal? Then you could just use the studs that are there to nail to, and then the battens in between go in this direction. And then if they were sealed on the top side, any water that got on them would just run down the board. Now that is a ridiculous idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. So since I can't decide roof or sides first, I'm just going to go at this pile of cedar, just start milling. If there's enough cedar here to do all the walls, and there's a bunch left over, I'll do the roof with cedar. If I get through all the cedar and it just barely makes the walls, then I'm going to do the roof with aspen. The downside of the aspen is it's hard to mill. Have to sit on the ground to mill it, and it's quite heavy. So I don't know, very strong, very heavy, good for a roof. I don't know, I can't decide what to do, so I'm just gonna go at these and see what happens. Get a good start on these logs anyway. Probably get a few done today. Good thing about getting at these today is the bark might not be frozen on there. We'll see how they peel. It'd be nice to get a few done before they do freeze, and then at that point, if the bark freezes on them, you can get it off. It's just a whole lot more work, and to me it's not worth it. Once it's frozen, I just mill it with the bark on it, and then you'll cut it off later when you make it into a straight board. The downside is any of the dirt that's in there from dragging them over here, you're cutting with a nice sharp chainsaw chain, so it doesn't last very long. Just see what happens. Got a few of these offcuts that were from that massive pine tree, the pine that I used to frame that whole thing, and they're too small, too thin to get a 2x4 out of them, so I just throw them aside. So I think before I get to anything else, I'll mill these up and get a 1-inch board out of it. By the time you get down to the thin side, there won't be anything left. It'll just pop out. This won't get us anything, but still might get a 6-foot 1x out of it, so it's worth milling up. I got 4 of them there. There might be another one under there too, so mill those up real quick and get a few skinny boards. That's not frozen on. That's nice. got all the junk done. You know what would be really nice right now? Is if the cabin was done, and while I was working on it, I could go in there and dry out my clothes. I'm not sure that would work. I don't think I thought that through all the way. I think maybe the snow is getting to my brain. Okay, let's see if these are frozen to the ground. I bet they are. Oh, baby. Oh, man. There it goes. Hey, you guys listen to John Krakauer? I mean, read his books, rather. I'm doing a marathon of all of his books right now. A few of these have been sitting here for months. I can actually see where the water soaked into the log up to there. Not sure how that'll affect anything, but I'll try to peel them anyway. They feel soft. I think they're peelable. Oh yeah. Ooh, do I have a new peeling tool? I sure do. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Some of these, like this log, is what, 6 feet long. It's not, I mean, I can turn it into firewood or get a few boards out of it. See, it's got a little bit of rotten core too. Probably get, I don't know, 3 or 4 boards maybe out of that thing. Better than stacking it up into more firewood. That's one thing I don't need. One thing I found is when I peel these, is to get the log oriented in the way I want it to start. I'm putting the kind of the bend going up like this, and then I do that before I start peeling, and I won't peel the bottom quarter of it or something because my chainsaw won't cut into that bark anyway. And if you peel this, especially now when it's wet and everything, it just like it'll glide right along the sawhorses and fall off. I mean, I do have some screws I can put into them, but if you leave the bark on, it has a pretty good grab. This is frozen a little bit. Huh. There's the water that got under the bark here. It's cool crystalline. God, it's so weird. Flakes are starting to get fatter. What does it mean? Whoa, what happened there? Oh, that's when I switched the chains out. Huh. I think I must have hit something with that other chain on one side because the saw it kept wanting to come up out of the board. So I just switched them out. I made the first cut in there, stopped, switched out the chain, and then it's cutting a lot better. So if I don't take this out of here, this bump, every board is going to have the same thing there. Battery's almost dead. Well, I'm gonna keep milling for a little bit. We got a little bit of light left here. Tito's down there clearing out his building site and apparently just started burning all the brush. He happened to bring, I don't know if I mentioned this before, Ringworm has an official meat. He started buying those big pork steaks at throwing those on the fire and then put a couple baked potatoes in the coals. Man, it is some good stuff. So, pork steak, the official grill meat of ringworm. Who knew? Anyway, I'm gonna rip through another log or two and start making a pile. Come back next week if you like. It's gonna go together really fast. I mean, it would only take 5 or 6 days to get it all dried in, but you know, with weather and whatnot, it might be a couple weeks. But you're welcome to come back and check it out. Oh, just imagine all these clothes dry. See you soon.